don't know exactly what this patch is. It's kind of like a 1980s Bell-like keyboard, maybe a bit new agey sounding. I do think that this line here sounds kind of like the movie The Goonies when they're in the caves. But whatever it is, I like it and I'm going to build it here. But just like with the other videos, my hope is that it's not just about how to make a sound, but maybe also one or two of the things that we talk about along the way will be useful in your sound design process. So I'm going to use a wavetable today, but to start, I'm just going to set oscillator 1 as a sine wave. Turn up the level a little bit and set an envelope with a low attack of 6, moderate decay, no sustain. We don't want the sound to linger at any level when you hold a note down. We just want it to kind of pop in and fade out. So a moderate release as well of about 80. And then let's add some LFO2 to the pitch of oscillator 1. So you'll get just a little bit of pitch meandering. You can leave the LFO2 rate as its default setting if you want. Maybe increase the speed just a little bit. I'm going to set an arpeggiator on key latch here just so that we can hear the sound as it evolves. Now I'm going to add some drive, distortion, bit of chorus, reverb, I'm going to take the VCA gain down just a little bit, just to hopefully avoid any unwanted noise. And then I'm going to turn up the FM dial for oscillator 1. For oscillator 3, modulating oscillator 1. First I'm going to make oscillator 3 a sine wave. Now oscillator 3 is going to frequency modulate oscillator 1. Listen to what that sounds like with just a little bit of FM. Now a bit more. So I like it kind of both ways, but I'm going to leave it at a pretty low value for now. And finally, from the voice menu, if you want it to be a little bit of a bigger sound, you can take unison mode up to 2. You can leave the detune in if you want, or take it out. I do like it with a bit of detune, and maybe increase the voices, the spread of the voices across the stereo field a little bit. And if you want, maybe add some velocity control over your volume. Somebody pointed out in one of the Facebook groups for the Peak and Summit that sometimes this isn't quite sensitive enough. And what you can do to have a little bit more control over volume is take a mod slot and do this. Set as the first source velocity, second source amp envelope, the destination as the VCA level, and then put it at whatever depth you want. And that'll give you more control over the volume as you play harder or softer. Alright, so that's the basic sound that we were going for without the wavetable, but I wanted to see how that is initially, so we can compare it with and without. 60 wavetables, each with 5 shapes to morph between. I don't know about you, but I find that to be kind of overwhelming, so I just explore one at a time, oftentimes alongside a more traditional wave like a sine wave, and then just little by little see which ones I like. Tubey is the one that we're going to use today, so go to more in the wave selection for oscillator 2, and from the menu choose Tubey, and as we increase the level of oscillator 2, we'll see how it sounds. So you don't need much there, it really adds a lot. Without. Now what if we increase the octave to 4 feet? I like that better. And then how about if we take the shape and bring that up or down? This is at the lowest shape value. One thing about the wavetables on the Peak and Summit is that I think as you increase their shape, you often tend to get higher harmonics. Not on all of them, but I think with a lot of them that's the case. So often I just start from the lowest shape, see what happens, and then cycle through it. And then of course cycle through the octaves for that oscillator 2 and see what that does. I'm hearing some of these high piercing harmonics, I'm going to just set a low pass filter and close it just a little bit to hopefully mitigate that just a little. What if we just use the Tubey wavetable without oscillator 1? Sounds kind of thin. It doesn't sound bad, but just bring up that sine wave again. And then we get where we want to with it. And so I like this wavetable a lot. It's just at a low level, around 60. The sine wave is really giving most of the volume, but the Tubey really does add a lot of quality. So, and then remember, we have some FM coming from oscillator 3. But now you can almost not hear it at all because we had it at a low value, so you might increase that a bit or just get rid of it. And that brings up, I think, an important point, which is that sometimes as we build and build on top of a patch, we realize that there's certain parameters that aren't really having an effect anymore. And sometimes we might just want that very subtle effect, but after I realized that I like this patch and went back to write down all the settings, there were like 9 things that were having no audible effect, or at least not improving the sound. So I removed them, and that was a really good way for me to learn what are the actual key things that make this patch what it is. So go back and take apart your favorite patches. Maybe you'll also find some things that just don't really matter much in that patch. And more importantly, you'll learn what are the things that truly make that patch what it is. So kind of strip it down to its most essential parts. So closing out the video, I'm just going to toy with a few other parameters, see what it sounds like. Maybe add some oscillator 3 filter modulation. So that's something different. I also like to mess with the VSync feature. So you can do that with any oscillator. I'm going to increase the VSync for oscillator 2. Quickly has an effect. And that's just at 9. So that's interesting. Try different wave shapes maybe. Maybe this has too many effects, too much reverb. So do what you like. But this is back to the original patch that I wanted to build, the one I was going for. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time.